So today we're going to talk about some general strategies and tips and tricks how to do well on the real deal, and how to augment your score, and how to maintain your calm and composure, and how to be focused while you are solving the exam. So let's get started. So we'll start with some general tips. So focus is the integral component, and you need to maintain your focus. If you lose your focus, you're going to lose your exam. And I have seen people who scored dropped from 250s to 230s, and like they would be like, I have no clue what happened. So I'm saying that assessments, they don't lie, they don't tell a lie. But because of the mistakes we do on the real deal, it can make or break you. So you have to maintain your focus. And if you lose your focus, this is the biggest mistake you can commit on the real deal. And obviously, like all other skills, we develop this particular skill by practicing it. So you have to practice how to develop a focus and how to stay focused while solving the question, while you're solving your Q bank, while you're doing your assessment. And you have to do it in the practical condition and not in the ideal condition. So you can say that you're sitting in the very isolated and quiet and in a very comfortable condition, but in the real exam, you're not going to have a very comfortable chair. You're not going to have your own study desk, and there would be people who are going in and coming in, going out. So there are a lot of factors which are not very ideal. So you need to practice your performance in those practical condition rather than ideal condition. So it is going to help you while you're performing on the real deal. And I can say that focus can be lost because of two main factors. First is the external factor, and then we can talk about the internal factor. So external factor, as I mentioned, that for example, you're uh, habitual of sitting on a particular type of chair, and on a particular study desk, and in a particular room, and in a particular condition, and in the real exam, in the real deal, you're not having all those facilities. So obviously it is going to affect you somehow. And there would be people coming in, going out, and obviously there would be closure and opening of the room door. So it is going to produce some noise. So it is going to distract you. And again, there are certain people whose focus is not uh, disturbed, or whose focus is not lost because of these factors. But there's some people whose focus is lost because of a particular noise. So you have to be very meticulous about it. You have to be very careful about it. So in addition to practicing it in a condition which is not ideal, I'm talking about, you should not practice in a condition which is very suitable, which is very ideal, which is very comfortable. You need to train yourself in a very practical, like, when where there is some kind of background noise and you're just able to do your task. So it is going to help you in your real day if there is something disturbance while you are solving your exam. And also I would recommend you to bring some good quality noise cancelling earbuds. The prometric staff, they do allow you to bring a good quality um, noise cancelling earbuds. And the headphones they provide you for noise cancellation, they're not as good as they should be, and I have suffered because of it. So this is the reason I'm telling you, you should bring your own earbuds, which with which you are comfortable, and they're good quality, and they do allow you after inspection. So you should bring a good quality earbuds with you on the test day. And we can talk about the internal distractors too. For example, you are solving a question and you say that, oh, this is very a very easy question. They cannot ask this silly or this very easy question from me. So there must be a trick. There must be some hidden meaning behind this clinical vignette, and they're asking something very different. So no, in the real deal, you will face a bunch of a combination of a mixture of very easy question, moderate difficulty, and very hard question. So if you encounter a very easy question and you think, no, no, this cannot be this much easy. This they cannot ask this silly question because it is a board exam and they're going to be notorious for a particular reason because of the difficulty level. No, there must be like you will have very easy question on your real deal, and don't get baffled by the presence of those very easy questions, and don't overthink, because if you get overwhelmed, it would cause the loss of the focus. And what will happen if you lose your focus? You would not be able to uh, tackle that question tactfully. And obviously, if you're not able to do well on that particular question, it is also going to uh, disturb you. It is also going to affect your performance on the rest of the questions. And so what I'm trying to say, just play on the merit. Just play on the merit. Treat each question individually. And if you think that this is a very easy question, so and you have an answer in your head, just mark it and move on. Don't overthink. Don't overthink. Don't overthink. And if you ask me that which is the best advice I can give you for the real deal, I will say don't overthink. So this is the best advice I can give you, and maintain your focus. And on the other hand, you will be having very difficult question for which you don't have any clue. And if you overthink and continue to explore and continue to think about and continue to analyze, so it will cost you in terms of your time, and you will lose time. And then obviously when you have shortage of time, then you will rush, and in the rushed movement you will lose your focus, and it is going to affect the other question. You will not be able to solve and answer the question for which you know the answer, which are very easily answerable, which are very easily which for which you can answer very easily, and you can get the marks very easily. And so this is the reason. If you do not uh, play on the merit, if you don't treat each question individually, it is going to affect you collectively, cumulatively. So don't overthink and treat each question individually. If it is a simple question, no, doesn't matter. If it is a difficult question, doesn't matter. Just and mark it and move to the next one. Mark it and move to the next one. And believe me, I have spoken to a lot of students, and they when they come out of this examination hall, they tell that they don't know how did they perform on the real deal, but they end up scoring in 250s, 260s. And believe me, this was again the case with me. I was very unsure about my performance on the real deal, and I end up scoring in a good and decent manner. So all I'm trying to say that you have to believe in yourself. You have to uh, keep faith in your preparation and in your assessments, and you just play on the merit. You just uh, choose a question in a very good way, like using your brain, and then don't overthink and move to the next one. So this is the best strategy to deal with the very easy question and to deal with the very hard question. Just use your brain, and if there comes an option like you think that it is the right answer, just mark it and move to the next one. So the next thing I can talk about is the time management. So you're not going to lose your time. So you have to be very meticulous about time management. So the most student who experience a problem in time management is because first they didn't practice while they were doing the Q bank. The time management, you learn time management by practicing it. So you have to practice it while you are doing the cubing. And the second thing, they overthink and they spend like minutes, like 3 or 4 minutes on a particular question, and they think that then they will compensate for the rest of the block, for the rest of the question. But it is not a doable, it is not a practical aspect. For each question you have 90 seconds, you have 1.5 minute. So you should not spend more than 1.5 minute on a particular question. If you're not able to conclude, and if you're not able to uh, reach at an answer, so you just make an educated guess and move to the next one. And if you have time, then you can go back to it, and you can solve it if you have time. But if you spend uh, an extra time, an additional time on a particular question, it is going to cost you. It is going to cause the problem in time management, and you will end up missing a bunch of questions. And obviously, when you miss a bunch of questions, it is going to give you a depression, a kind of PTSD, and then this kind of uh, mental status is going to affect your performance in the rest of your exam. So again, it's going to be very detrimental in the long run. So you don't have to do it. And I would recommend, like the way I approach, I would solve first 15 question in 15 minutes, and then like I would have time, like some additional time, and then the next 15 question I would solve in 20 minutes, right? And then for the rest 10 minutes, I would be having 25 minutes, right? So like I solved first 15 questions in 15 minutes, and then next 15 questions in 20 minutes. So I used 15 plus 25, 35 minutes. And then you have 10 more questions to go, and you have 25 minutes in your hand. So you can use those minutes, extra minutes, to review the mark question, and to uh, also you have to also answer the those 10 questions. So it is going to be helpful. Like this was my strategy. It is not always a perfect fit for all of the individuals, but I'm saying that you have to develop this kind of strategy for yourself which suits to you, and you don't have to spend an extra time on a particular question, because if you spend an extra time, it is going to be the time is going to be detected from your total time, and you would not be having an ample amount of time for the rest of the question for which you know the answer. So the third thing I can talk about, there must be some sequential question. I would say like 3 or 4 sequential question, like in pairs. So I would say like you would be having 5 or 6 questions which are asked in a sequential order. And I recommend to my student to solve them at the end of the block. The reason is this, because most of the time when you answer a sequential question, and for the first question, if you answer it in the wrong, so it and then you move to the next question, and you uh, come to know that, oh, I didn't answer this question rightly, and I just missed that question. So it gives you a kind of panicky situation, and it gives you a kind of depressive feeling. So it also affects your rest of the questions in the block. So what I suggest, to solve these questions at the end of the block, so that you can finish your block and you can go out and you can maintain your calm and composure, and you can relax, and you can come and you can attack the rest of the exam with a New Zealand zest. But in the same go, if you miss a question and you conclude and you come to know, oh no, I missed this question, so it gives you kind of setback. So in order to avoid that setback, and in order to avoid the negativity, and the negativity inducing further negativity for the rest of the question, I suggest to solve the sequential question at the end of the block, because at the end of the block you would be having a break time and you can take a break and you can maintain your composure. Also, I suggest that you should solve the abstract and the biostatics questions at the end of the block. If you have some calculations, if you have some abstract, because abstract is going to take a lot of time. So you should not solve the abstract and the calculation during the or in the beginning of the block. You should solve at the end of the block so that you don't have time and you're not spending extra time on these kind of questions. And then comes the biostatics and ethics. So this is the major chunk. This has become a major chunk in the USMLE. Like you would be having 4 to 5 questions related to ethics. You would be having 2 to 3 biostats question on each block, and it constitutes a lot of chunk of the exam. And it is again a shared weakness among the IMGs. And I also talk to some of the American medical graduates. So they also say that they also feel a bit weakness in these subjects. So I would say that even if you are prepping for step 2, you should also practice the step 1 question. You should also solve the step 3 questions related to ethics and biostatics, because I would say there is no other way to improve biostats and ethics except by solving more and more questions, more and more unique questions. So you need to master all the available material related to step 1, step 2, step 3. I'm just talking about these 2 subjects, ethics and biostats. For other subjects, you don't need to go for the step 1 and step 3 cubing while you're prepping for step 2 CK. And in addition to it, Dirty Medicine has a very good quality, high yield content related to doctor-patient communication and ethics. So it is a must watch. You must watch it. It is going to give you some solid point. It is going to clarify some valuable and highly and frequently tested topics. And yeah. And the fifth thing I am going to give you an advice: don't indulge in nitpicking. If you're involved in nitpicking, it means you're going to destroy your test. You're going to destroy your exam. And I say that this is the worst thing one can do on the exam day. And like people think that, board exam writers, they are going to trick you, they're playing with you, or they're going to distract you. So most of the time, I'm not saying that 100%, I'm not saying 98%, I'm saying most of the time, like 85 to 90%, they're not going to trick you. They're not going to distract you. They're not going to play with you. So they're just going to be very straightforward. So you just don't think, you just don't overthink, and you don't involve in nitpicking, and just mark an appropriate option and move to the next one. So if you don't follow this, it is going to affect you very badly on the test day. And this is again something I discovered while I was preparing for my USMLE exams. So, for example, you're taking assessments, you're solving the CMS forms, you're doing the Q banks, you're doing the U-World assessments. So make a separate PDF file for the wrongs or for the weak areas. For example, I got a question wrong related to congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So I will make a separate file for my wrongs. And like I have wrongs related to NBME 9, I have wrongs related to NBME 10, I have wrongs related to UWorld Self-Assessment 1, I have wrongs related to UWorld Self-Assessment 2. So in this way, I have separate files for all of my mistakes, and I can go back and I can look at them. So you can take the screenshot, you can just write it down, anything, but you need to make separate Word or PDF file, because it is going to help you in the long run. If you want to revise, if you want to work on your weak areas, like this file is my weak area. You can go and you can review, you can revise, and it is going to save your time. And also it is going to tell you that it is going to pinpoint your weak area. You know that these files are my weak area, and then you can review, you can nail and you can ace those topics by solving questions or by reviewing the content. So but if you don't make the separate PDF files for your wrongs, you would be just all in the air, and you would not be knowing the pinpoint or exact details about your weak areas. And I say that your score improves by working on your weak areas, right? Your score improves by working on your weak areas. And if you don't work on your weak area, it means your score is not going to improve. And how can you work on your weak areas if you don't know what your weak area is? So you need to identify your weak area, and then you need to work on your weak area in order to augment or improve your score.